Live yesterday, it was trending in the direction of Abdul Carter going number 2 overall to the Cleveland Browns. Had this to say about your New York Giants, CC.
They're going to proceed in this draft as if they didn't make either of those two moves, signing Jameis Winston nor Russell Wilson. If the Giants can find a way to move up in this draft, to take the top quarterback in this draft, Cam Ward, I think they'll look to do that. If they decide that they like Shedeur Sanders at number 3 and want to do that, I think that's what they'll wind up doing if they have a high enough grade on Shedeur, which we don't know right now. But the fact that they've gone out and signed 2 quarterbacks influences nothing about the way that this team will approach the draft.
All right, so based on that information, based on the fact that it's trending towards Abdul Carter 2, Cam Ward number 1 to the Titans, and it's trending towards Aaron Rodgers still being in the gray area, not that he's going to join the Giants here, but we know he's not, right? Do we believe it's trending towards the Giants drafting a quarterback at 3 or not?
So let me get this straight. I'm supposed to believe that the Giants signing 2 quarterbacks in free agency is not going to impact in any way, shape, or form what they do with the number 3 overall pick?
Yes.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
Why?
Well, it's ridiculous because teams use free agency to set their draft up so they don't have to reach for players of need at certain positions. So the New York Giants signing Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston isn't nothing, right? And everybody is speculating around the Giants taking a quarterback. So by virtue of how they're using their roster spots, it matters in terms of informing what they need to do with number 3 overall. So there's that piece of it. But even if we game this out, with this bit of information out there from Shefty, who does that end up helping? The New York Giants. Because if their fancies are on getting the best position player available, doesn't it serve them to have Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward go off the board 1-2? So they can have their choice of Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter? Mm-hmm. Seems like that would make sense to me.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at this from the Giants' perspective, they don't want to let it be known that they're out of the quarterback business. They want the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans to think about taking those 2 quarterbacks so they can have Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter, both guys that I think will be gold jacket players at the end of their careers, having both of them on the board when they're on the clock. So there's no way that you can convince me that the New York Giants signing Russell Wilson and signing Jameis Winston in no way, shape, or form impacts whether or not they are weighing taking a quarterback with 3 overall. That's just ridiculous.
Smalls, let's play this out, okay? So let's play out what's seemingly trending. Cam Ward 1.
Okay.
Abdul Carter 2.
Okay.
Now let's say CC is right about what he's saying, that there's just it has to influence it, and so Travis Hunter goes 3. So Russell Wilson is sitting there, and he's looking at Malik Neighbors on one side and Travis Hunter on the other side, and thinking, oh, okay, Big Blue, let's do. And now we have heard all these reports about could Shedeur slip?
Yes.
Where does he go then if the Giants aren't going to take him and neither are the Browns?
And how far could he slip?
Yeah.
That could be the big storyline on draft night. If he doesn't go in the top 3, where could he land?
It happens every year.
It does.
A player, and specifically a quarterback, slides.
The green room guy.
The Will Levis moment.
Well,
the Aaron Rodgers moment.
Aaron Rodgers moment.
Brady Quinn was a big one.
Yep.
Geno Smith.
Yeah. So it could be Shedeur. Do we still think he'd go in the top 10? Do we think someone would jump up to get him? Do you think it could be New Orleans?
I still think he goes in the top 10. There are too many backstops right there. New Orleans is there. I think there are teams that are outside of the top 10 that could potentially be looking at him.
But that's where the Jackson Dart over him could actually end up. So let's just say New Orleans for a second. Mel Kiper Jr. had Jackson Dart in mock draft 3.0 going number 9 overall to New Orleans because he already had Shedeur off the board. Let's say New Orleans has done all the homework and said, this guy fits us perfectly. I'm sure they're watching Shedeur as well, but they just may like him better. And that's where the conversation of could Jackson Dart somehow, some way actually get drafted ahead of Shedeur, which seems crazy, but not impossible. Mm-hmm. And then you have to wonder, well, with teams like the Jets and the Raiders, just be like, well, we didn't expect him to be there. Mm-hmm. Let's make him our QB of the future. We have Fields and Geno respectively. I mean, that's where the Shedeur slipping conversation comes into play. MLB opening.
Yes, the new quarterback in New York, Russell Wilson, his wife Sierra as well, because it was a giant decision for Russ to decide to be cooking in a new kitchen this season. Only question is, do the Giants have the right ingredients for a playoff reservation? Russ spoke Wednesday for the first time since signing that one-year deal with New York. It will pay him a guaranteed $10.5 million this season. And after playing the first 10 years of his career in Seattle, the Giants will be Russ's fourth team in the last 5 years.
Obviously, being in New York, it's an exciting place to play. It's a place that wants to win. It's a place that knows how to win and has won before. And so for me, it's bringing everything I know, all the experiences, all the touchdowns, all the wins, but also all the love and passion for the game to this locker room. And that's what I'm really excited for. I obviously love playing in MetLife Stadium. A lot of good memories here. It was definitely when I pulled up to the stadium and pulled to the facility today, and when I pulled up last week, it makes you feel some type of way. It makes you get excited about the possibilities of what this team can do.
Maybe all the jumping around as of late, you kind of forgot the things that Russ has done in his career. Let's go back. Super Bowl 48 at MetLife Stadium. See him taking on the Broncos. His second NFL season. Threw for 206 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Seattle wins the Super Bowl 43-8. By the way, he's 4-0 in his career at MetLife, his new home stadium with the Giants. How about last season with Pittsburgh? November 10th, playing the Commanders. With a deep ball to Mike Williams in the fourth quarter. The Steelers trailed by 10 in that game. He went 14 for 28, threw for 3 scores, and they get the 1-point win, 28-27, over the Commanders. And then December 1st, in Cincinnati, maybe his best game as a Steeler. Threw for more than 400 yards, just the third time in his career. He had 3 touchdowns, completed 76% of his passes, and the Steelers got a big win, 44-38. But it's all done. He's headed to New York. So, with Russ finding that new home with the Giants, the Steelers still seem to be waiting for Aaron Rodgers to respond to their texts and DMs. It's been more than 2 weeks since Pittsburgh first shared interest in the 4-time MVP, but as usual, Rodgers seems to be in no rush to make a decision on his future with any team. So instead, everyone else gets asked about him, including Cam Hayward, who had to clarify some early remarks he made about Rodgers potentially coming to Pittsburgh.
I was asked the question of, would you go to the lengths of going to a darkness retreat to recruit Aaron Rodgers? I said, I'm not doing that. The pitch is, if you want to be a Steeler, be a Steeler. When I look at our team right now, it would be really cool to have a guy like Aaron Rodgers. But, I can't be the guy who gets it over the finish line. I think he's got to make those decisions for himself. But, excited to see what happens.